So, you know, those times in which something doesn't quite click with you, and then you notice something, and then the pieces fall together? That's what happened to me with Emu and their various attacks. Spoilers for Elbaf. However, in the recent chapters, we have seen Emu do a whole bunch of attacks. And in chapter 1189, Summers tells us that those attacks are actually the names of different blades from the 19 families that make up the world government, or at least started the world government. So these are all weapons from different houses of families that are now celestial dragons in Mariejois. So, Nemesis is named. Graham is shown, which Graham and Nemesis were attacks performed by Emu. Nemesis is a bit more obvious because Nemesis is a sword used by Emu, but Graham is not. So what I'm gathering is that Emu has all of these weapons on their person in some sort of a hammer space location, and they pull them out of the wheel on their back, which is acting kind of like a weapon wheel from a video game, right? So Graham is a real sword. So I guess when Graham is used by Emu, they are channeling the weapon and using it with their Devil powers in some unique way. And that is the same for Stigma. And we did a video on Stigma possibly belonging to House Manmare. However, to continue, I do think that when Emu is using these attacks, the weapon that they initially carry from when they actually come to Elbaf is the Conduit. And that weapon is channeling all the different weapons that they have on their person, because it turns into Graham and it turns into Nemesis. So with that being said, I could believe that that's the case going on here. And when they want to retrieve the weapon, they just retrieve the weapon out of the weapon wheel. Now, here's an interesting thought. When Gunko turns into Emu via the possession of Emu, a few interesting weapons pop up on her person. So, when she first transforms, she is carrying a trident. There begins the weirdness, because where did that trident come from? Where did it spawn from? And it's weird because when Emu uses Dame Reversi on other characters, they're already holding weapons. So it makes sense that their weapons then turn into trident-like objects. That I can buy, but where does her trident come from? That's just kind of weird. But then she summons a grimoire. I think the grimoire is coming out of the weapon wheel, if I had to guess. Then that grimoire opens up and spawns out a dagger and a very large double-barrel revolver, or a double-barrel flintlock pistol of some sort. I don't know what those are about. Are both of those from Celestial Dragon families? And in thinking about Celestial Dragon families, it really does make the mind wander, because you have to think of, okay, what was the weapon for the Roseward family, like Charlos's family? What is their weapon? Or more interestingly, the Don Quixote family. What is their weapon? You know, it makes you really think about all the different Celestial Dragon families that we have seen over the series, and it makes you ponder, okay, what is the Figerland family weapon? Why hasn't Emu used that yet, seeing as how that should be a big deal? What is the Satchels family weapon? And it's really weird with Satchels, because Satchels Matthew seems to be a Oni, like Yamato and Kaido. So is her weapon just a club? Is that her house weapon? A club? And then we have the other unnamed Oni guy. What is his deal? You get what I mean? It's really weird when you start to think about it, because there has to be 19. And I don't think we've had 19 Celestial Dragon families shown on screen just yet. So there are a lot out there. And even when you're thinking about, say, the Jay Garcia family, what was Saturn's family weapon? We don't know. And then we don't even know if Saturn was the only Jay Garcia. There could be more at Mariejois, but we don't know. But that makes you ponder, what is going on with all of these different families? What about the Marcus family? What is their weapon? Because it's kind of weird. You can't really place Marcus Mars, because maybe he has a Japanese weapon, seeing as how he can become a Japanese yokai, but maybe not. I said the same thing for Zhig-Tan. Zhig-Tan could be the house of Top Man. We don't know because Top Man does turn into a Fang Zhi, and a Fang Zhi does have Chinese origins. So maybe the Chinese axe is from the guy who can turn into a Chinese pig. I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see. But I thought that was really interesting, especially when you consider the Gunko weapons, because what is up with this grimoire? Is the grimoire special, or is the grimoire just an extension of Imu's capabilities? Is the gun special? Is the dagger special? We'll have to wait and see, but it is a lot of food for thought. However, if you are enjoying the video so far, click the like button. And if you want to see more from me, click the subscribe button followed by that bell so you never miss a video. In addition to, if you could, hit the hype button because it really does help. And with that being said, give me your thoughts and tell your friends about Polypede Works.